comedy in music is going to wear off. Like a song is 4 minutes, right? So you're going to listen to a song 50 times in the same way that you wouldn't watch a comedy movie 50 times or an episode of South Park 50 times, unless it's Scott Tenorman style. So I think that it's a tricky thing to pull off, but ultimately it should always just come down to the quality of music. I mean, I said this on a podcast recently. It's on one of our premium ones. So, but to me, the difference between Tenacious D and Steel Panther, Tenacious D are a bad example. The difference between an Evil Scarecrow or an Hailstorm and Steel Panther is just quality of music. Like, if you were to put serious lyrics on Community Property by Steel Panther, you would have a world beater. You would have a song that is like massive, like Always by Bon Jovi is. Yeah. The quality of the music is astounding, right? So the comedy stuff is just there. It doesn't annoy me, so it doesn't detract from the music, because the music's so good. When you're unfunny and shit, that's a hell of a combination. There's more reasons to go at something that is unfunny and rubbish than there is just rubbish. Oh, they do a scuttle dance. It's like, fine. If that's entertaining to you, then by all means. But come on.
Well, you're talking to the guy who signed a band called The Darkness, which a lot of people thought was a comedy band, and they were a fun band. I was not to say. And I always remember the first time I saw them, I was walking at the Barfly and everyone was laughing, but they were singing along. So I don't care if you're funny or you're comedy. If you write a great song, you write a great song. So I don't have any specific thoughts on the comedy element. I have thoughts on the good songwriting element. And the Rutles from the 60s or 70s, I think, were a good example. They did comedy parodies of Beatles songs and all that sort of thing. But a good song is a very good song is a very good song. So I don't have much of a strong opinion, I'm afraid.
Yeah, they are funny, but then there's a danger because the longer something goes on, if the comedy is too intelligent and is too close to real life, suddenly you're in danger of newer bands that come along that aren't comedy looking like a comedy band. And also some people don't always realise it. I'm sure there's people out there who watch Spinal Tap and gone, oh, they're amazing. That's a spoof band, mate. No, they're real. I don't know. Yeah, comedy bands. If you're going to be a comedy band, you've got to do the music really well.
There's different kinds of comedy bands, I think, as well. I mean, like tonight we've got
literally the posh, the poor, and the northern. We pretend to be posh. We've got guys down there who pretend to be poor, like Hobo Jones and the Junkyard Dogs, and then we've got guys who unfortunately are northern.
I do really like that these microphones have got afros.
There's nothing they can do. We've tried. There is no vaccine. They're stuck like that
for the rest of their lives.
But
it's like we, for example, we do the standard sort of, well, it's like the comedy thing of write some silly songs and originals, play with some with covers done in a strange way, talk at each other incessantly. The Doonikins do, it's nothing. Their main shtick is they rewrite songs like classic pop hits with stupid lyrics, and it's all about the songs. They just churn out song after song after song.
Comedy masterpiece is the word that's quite often used, but to be honest, I think that's a bit of a
wanky.
It's a bit of a wanky term. Yeah. We basically northernise and I like to use the word bastardise. Yeah, we bastardise other people's.
Steel Panther I find very awkward because I don't know where the joke starts and finishes and where they are just a misogynist hair metal band with very outdated views. I'm told they're a joke, so I have to take that as face value, but it still makes me uneasy.
Then you got bands like Tenacious D or Steel Panther. Well, Tenacious D, like Steel Panther is like a parody, like Spinal Tap, and then you got Tenacious D, who just write funny, really good music. If you listen to it, the lyrics technically aren't massively hilarious, but it's the delivery. And then you've got bands like the Wurzels, who I think, without trying, are hilarious.
Yeah, I don't think the Wurzels actually know that it's a joke.
No, but they are brilliantly hilarious between chatting to each other. But it's like the songs are quite fun, serious. They're folk songs. They're normal folk songs.
But I think generally, like a comedy band is funny, and a serious band isn't. That is.
No, I think there's a big difference in how the bands work for being in them. In a serious band, it kind of feels almost that you've got to have this element of you've got to be this kind of original thing, and you've got to be completely different to everything else. Whereas in a comedy band, it's much more just about how funny are you. And if you're really funny, then you'll do well. Whereas there's a lot of bands that you've just got to, like, in serious bands, if you wear the right thing and do a particular kind of music video or do something, then you'll probably make it.
You could probably be the next Catfish,
regardless,
the Bottlemen or whatever they are.
Well, I quite like Catfish and the Bottlemen, but I was thinking more people like, I don't know, just these people you see on, like, Capital FM and stuff.
Coldplay.
Who are just musically rubbish.
Coldplay.
But they've got this thing about them, which I think comedy bands you can't do. If you're not funny, you're just not going to work.
Coldplay.
No one goes out to see a rubbish comedian.
Coldplay aren't funny though.
You've really got to think against Coldplay, haven't you?
I really don't like Coldplay.
Take the piss. If you do something well enough, it doesn't really matter quite what it. Who else does it well though? Comedy. There's bands who have comedy in their music.
Yeah, that's the point.
Look at Madness.
Madness are really funny. Yeah. Look at the Darkness. I love the Darkness. Like, it's tongue in cheek. Their biggest hit is a pop joke. It's Don't Let the Bells End.
Yeah.
Growing on Me is a song about genital warts, but actually I think they're a really good rock band, and you get the tongue in cheek and you laugh about it, but actually you quite like them anyway. I don't hate comedy music. I mean, as comedy, you see in a comedy club, nothing finer. When it's done well, it's astonishing. Like, you look at Tim Minchin and people like that. They're really, really good, interesting musical comedy. I've seen loads of great musical comedy. In terms of when it crosses over, the worst stuff. I just remember Chubby Brown living next door to Alice. Oh, that was horrible. It's the stuff that works once. You laugh the first time, you never laugh again.
The Barren Nights.
Oh God, the Barren Nights. It's the chicken song by Spit Image. Stick a chicken in the air. That sort of stuff.
Although
it's fine.
Never met a nice South African.
Never met a nice South African was really funny, which was the B-side to Stick a Chicken in the Air. The problem with comedy music is once you get the joke, there's nothing left to explore. Like, hopefully what we do, once you get the joke, your enjoyment of the record isn't over. Whereas I think for a lot of purely comedy bands, particularly stand-up comedy, you don't tend to go and see a comedian hoping they do their greatest hits. No. And there's a reason for that, because jokes aren't very powerful once you've heard them. Like, the humour comes from something you've never heard before. So comedy music, if it's purely comedy, isn't doing its job if it's not making you laugh every single time.
It has to be more music. Although look at things like the Fast Show Live, people go along, they want to hear that. They want to hear that catchphrase, don't they? Ideally in a slightly different way, but obviously when comedy went to huge arenas, it's got to change the way comedy works, hasn't it?
Yeah, no idea. I'd still not comfortable with the idea of people going to see stand-up and expecting the hits. It just makes me itch.
It depends how you define a comedy band. I think Flight of the Conchords is one of the most awesome bands I've ever heard. I don't necessarily think of them as a comedy band. I think they just tell the truth a lot of the time, same way someone like Bill Hicks would have done.
Suckers of Satan's cock, each and every one of them.
I don't like comedy music if it is quirky or if it's just there for comedic effect. I like it if it's. I think the Ruttles, the Beatles parody band, are absolutely incredible and write better songs than the Beatles. I don't think Oasis are a particularly good band because I think their songs are a lot worse than the Beatles. So that would be an example of a bad comedy band as opposed to a good comedy band, which would be the Ruttles.
I don't know. I mean, as long as they communicate something to somebody, I'm cool with it. I mean, I don't dislike them. Yeah. It's I would probably like to see a concert. Yeah, in an arena. I think it's gonna be a great show. So it's I personally believe if something is well done, it's done with passion, it's done properly, then it's just a matter of taste. You can like it or dislike it. Who cares? But if you're working good with passion, then you know, you are okay with your, like, so to say, like, ethic?
Depends on the approach. I mean, there's like, I feel like sometimes I think there's bands that write music that otherwise could be serious, just, you know, as in like, I'm trying to think of how to put this, or it's kind of like lyrically it's kind of funny and it's joke, but it's more parody because the style of the music is not anything different, or they're not necessarily having as much fun with the actual compositions as talking to a camera. They're not having as much fun with the compositions and whatnot. Where like I would say we're a band that like the fun aspect kind of like it's in the writing too. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. What was the question again? That maybe is a little bit different as what they want to get. I mean, they might be more a different kind of entertainment. Yeah. It's more like, I don't know, it looks to me like we do Disneyland and we bring it on tour. Something like that. So it's good, I mean, it's fine. You can find great professionals as well in that kind of stuff. So I don't dislike them, but the message could be like ironical, but in a serious way. Like you have to bring the message in a serious way. So doing the best on stage, doing the best while writing. Not that you have to not be serious while you work on it. You have to work it, but taking this goal in mind that you have to be light as well.
I'm not a fan. The stuff I'm not a fan of is stuff like, I don't like Weird Al Yankovic very much. Yeah. I'm not massively into like Adam Sandler released a load of music stuff. Really? And it was all that kind of stuff's funny the first time you hear it, and it's never funny again.
Bohemian Polka was fucking hilarious.
I don't know that one,
but you only want to hear it once.
I actually, the thing with Steel Panther is I don't really like the music very much. The Darkness I like better, but I think it's because the Darkness we've got a British approach to it that just speaks to me a bit more. Me and Andrew both really like that because I think there's a knowing Britishness to it. There's a kind of deliberate crapness to a lot of what they do. That's actually backed up with some pretty awesome musicality. But Steel Panther, thing is, Steel Panther are basically a parody Motley Crue, but I don't like Motley Crue very much.
I mean, Spinal Tap. You can watch that film over and over again. Yeah, it's funny and the music is good, you know, and you can enjoy it, and you even sort of like, you know, you empathise with the characters.
Well, the difference is
when you're watching it, but when they're doing the Albert Hall, good luck to them because it's probably brilliant fun, isn't it? Yeah. But it's sort of like the Joker's stretched a bit too thin, and they're really sort of surviving off their music, and they're good musicians.
Yeah.
But it's sort of lost the point.
Spinal Tap is such a work of art that it does work every time you see it, but that's because it's exceptional, and it's quite rare for something to be that good.
It's bands not taking themselves seriously. I think there'd be lots more bands out there who want to present themselves and act more like Steel Panther, but they want to continue this pretense of the coolness and, oh my god, no, we can't do that, because Steel Panther, the very thin ledge they stand on that being able just to be so much fun and engage in a funny way, but still draw incredible crowds. I think more bands would like to be like that. What's the difference between Steel Panther and The Darkness? I think a lot of Steel Panther's audience necessarily don't listen to them when they get home. I think a lot of people still listen to The Darkness or they hear Darkness on the radio. A lot of people go to Steel Panther and go, oh, I forgot how funny these guys are, this is great. Or they go to Darkness and they'll sing the songs and all that sort of thing. But
it's quite a fine line. Like, we didn't originally set out to do comedy, we set out to do folk, and it turns out we got really bored doing folk and ended up telling stupid stories and jokes halfway between, and then doing silly things because we have a very short attention span.
It mainly came out of just entertaining ourselves more than anything, because it became more fun for us, and we realised the audiences liked it more if we tried to make each other laugh, and then we'd dance around just playing complete idiots and just mucking around, and people really liked it. And then it turned it into, well, let's write funny songs as well.
It started pretty much as a kind of like a relaxation kind of technique. Like, it was a lot easier to play, and you come across a lot better if you're enjoying yourself. So the easiest way to do that is to obviously try and make your singer wet himself whilst he's singing. Yeah. And it kind of spiraled downwards from there.
Whoever breaks out laughing first, I think, is like losers.
It is normally
sorry, the guitar solo. Wait, hang on.
I think that if you just heard the record and took it at face value, you would probably expect that we were long hair, leather clad, you know, pale faced, antisocial mutants, you know, but the reality is we have a blast, and you know, if you come see the show, you'll get the gist of it. I mean, we're up there smiling, cracking a lot of jokes, dancing around like idiots, you know, it's just, I don't know, I just have so much fun live that I can't like contain it, or I can't really just force myself into some kind of other persona, you know what I mean? Like, you know, I don't think I'd be long in Behemoth. They'd be like, what the hell? You can't be smiling up here and doing shit like that. So it's just, I don't know, man. You know, our personalities have definitely crept into the show and definitely crept into, you know, what people know about us. You know, I think the videos kind of helped too. You know, we felt like, you know, doing a music video was like a necessary evil. You know, we didn't necessarily want to be like, here's what we look like. Look at, we're, you know what I mean? We're not a boy band or anything. You know, we're ugly, you know, so. So I think, you know, we started taking goofy pictures, you know, we're punching each other in the face and, you know, just doing shit that just wasn't really seen in a death metal band, I guess, you know what I mean? And I think, like, you know, kind of revealing our sense of humor kind of helped us get out there and helped us be more, maybe more approachable to fans or more human or more, you know, I think they just see us as, like, people like that they know, you know what I mean? Like, I think what we're saying is anybody can do it, you know what I mean? If they look at us, like, look at that weirdo, you know?
The differences were purely down to how the audience kind of got into it. You know, I like I said, I had done stuff with serious bands before, and you know, the audience would just kind of be okay. And maybe that might have been the scene, or it might have just been that, you know, that's just what to expect if you're not particularly big and not particularly, you know, having a huge following or anything like that, and that you know, making people laugh just seemed like a nice alternative. It was a nice. It just feels quite nice whenever you make people laugh.
I do think there are a lot of crossovers though, because there's a lot of times in a serious band, some of the bands that my favourite bands are bands that make big statements about, you know, stuff that's political or social stuff or something. But there is a hell of a lot of room for that in comedy as well. You just tell it differently, which is what stand-up comedians do. They analyse a situation, whether it's current things that are happening or something that's happened before or a person or whatever. But it's a statement that just happens to be a bit funny as well, which I think is really good, and I like that about the comedy. I mean, I like writing comedy that's generally about something that I think also matters in real life.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I mean, I've seen like bands that don't take themselves too seriously, and I suppose there's that line as well, because you get like a band like, I don't know, Blink-182, who generally will do like, you know, 4 songs in a 45-minute set, and the rest of it's them just telling fart jokes to each other, and you know, sometimes you kind of wonder if they're just amusing themselves. Rather than the audience, but I suppose it's that thing of not taking yourself too seriously.
One of my heroes, like musical heroes, is Frank Zappa.
Nice.
Yeah, because I think he's one of the greatest composer of the last century. He was really able to write very catchy stuff as well as very difficult stuff for band, as well as contemporary stuff for orchestras. And of course putting irony into music. He wouldn't take himself too seriously. No. So and the variety of things he could write and the quality of his writing, it's really inspiring to me. I think irony is a key to enter. But then if you analyze the lyrics, then irony is just the first layer. If you want to see through it, and then you realize we're talking like about serious stuff with irony.
Previous bands, for me, it was the last band I was in was an acoustic act that took it, you know, very seriously. It was very political and very sort of things like that, and it was sort of like great musicianship. Really enjoyed playing the songs, but you had to stand there with quite a serious-looking face. Not because they said, right, you have to look serious, but it's like you felt you should, because if you were messing around in a song that's talking about, like, you know, the exploitation of the workers in the east coast of Ethiopia, then go around going, hey, this is brilliant. It really just doesn't quite work.
You realise we dance around and pull stupid faces during the song called 10 Million Slaves?
Yeah, but we can do that because we're grossly inappropriate. That's our own thing.
Yeah.
I was just the bassist. That was the main thing as well. I should not just the bassist.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. I mean, I was just the bassist. So I was meant to be quiet, and I just clearly was just a front man.
I have a string low enough to make things shake.
Yeah, that's very good. We're very happy for you. So Ash, what are the main differences for you?
It's mostly I write the sets, so I'm generally looking out for people's reaction quite a lot more rather than kind of looking for people dancing. I'm looking for people laughing, and it's normally my favourite part is the kind of realisation after you start a song that's a comedy song, when people realise, like especially if it's a cover, the moment it kind of clicks what you're actually playing. Like we do a couple of Rage Against the Machine covers, and it's that moment when we start playing, and they're like, oh, what? Oh no. Oh no, please God, no.
Don't do that. Put it. No, there are children here. For God's sake, man, they have no shame. Because of children.
Yeah, pretty much that.
Everything, a lot of what we do is over the top. You know what I mean? And you know, in metal, there's definitely lyrically too. I think there's a tongue-in-cheek kind of joke with the whole thing of death metal. You know, like people ask, like, why would you ever be into a bunch of music about murdering and killing and sing about killing people and stuff? I'm like, well, it has the appeal of a horror movie to people, you know what I mean? Like, it's the same reason you watch a Friday the 13th movie, you know, and cheer for Jason. It's like, you know, going along with the dark side for a while, you know what I mean? To me, death metal is always told from the voice of the villain, you know? So pretty much, you know, the gore of it and the extremity of the violence and stuff, there is a kind of tongue-in-cheek joke there, you know, like how much can I get away with? What can I say that's going to just freak people out and repulse them, you know what I mean? But it's always tongue-in-cheek for me, you know what I mean? And I think that really if you appreciate metal only as a serious art, you're missing a lot of the fun of, like, you know what I mean, ripping on it too, and the nerdiness of it, and the kind of, you know,
the cultness of it as well.
yeah, the ridiculousness of the whole thing, you know what I mean? So it's awesome. I've always seen it both ways, you know, and I've always loved it, you know, for that reason too. So, you know, we definitely take ourselves seriously. The priority is writing a good record and, you know, being a good live band, but yeah, we just have fun, man. We can't help it. I don't know what else to say.
I think that the main crux of the whole comedy band thing, or rather, just bands that are funny, is that the kind of draw of it is, yes, the music is good and catchy and people can dance to it if they want to. It's mostly the talking in between. Because I mean, this is a comment we get quite a lot, and I know a lot of our friends do as well. It's people come and see us and all the other bands because they talk to the audience. So whilst you're playing, you know, we'll be shouting things. In between songs, it's not a case of thank you very much. This is the next song. Ours is like, well, ours and other people's. We finish a song, we'll berate the drummer, we'll drink,
possibly
we'll
beat
make
the drummer.
comments, we'll do stupid things, we'll shout at people. People will shout at us, and we respond to heckles and things like that. And people kind of like audience gets a bit more involved.
Yeah, it's also important. A lot of mainstream. I think that's the main reason loads of comedy bands go really well. It's because they're actually like you're part of it. You're part, and a lot of comedy bands as well, particularly the good ones, take the mick out of themselves more than anyone can. So they're not like we are better than you. We're like not like you two, or like standing there going, I'm a cultural icon. They're sort of like, I'm a complete idiot. Why are you here? And like having a genuine conversation like you could do this better than me. We're rubbish. And then the audience is part of it. They're not felt like you're a rock god looking down at you. They're sort of like, do you want to do this? Because I'm bored.
A rolling shambles.
Rolling shambles.
That's how we described ourselves quite a lot. Rolling shambles.
I prefer a different way to bring the this ironic side into the music. Like for example, what you have on the Foo Fighters. I love them. I just saw them live, and they're maybe not just in lyrics. They're so light. They're deep. They're profound, but. When you see the show, you smile every time, from the first song to the last one, and all the time they start again, all the songs, all the time that they stop the songs and they start saying a lot of craps. I love them. That's not a serious way to take everything.
It's more about attitude.
It's something about
that's
attitude.
really personal,
right.
you know.
Sure. You can create your.
We're probably discussing about content.
It started as just you know, we didn't know what to do with the videos, and there was no budget. There never really is, you know. So I mean, of course, you'd want to be all on horseback and storming a castle and be part of a fucking war and all this shit, but no one has the money. to do that, all right? So that's why all metal videos pretty much suck, okay? Because there's only a couple $1,000 if you're lucky, and that's what you're working with, you know? So you got to make the best of it. So for us, you know, it started out with a couple serious videos, and they weren't filmed very great either, you know, the very early ones. We were like, whatever. Then we did Miasma, where we just basically got a budget to drink in Las Vegas, and they followed us around, and, you know, it was tied into the album artwork and stuff like that. You know, and just after that was the moment, I think, where it really started to like resonate with people, you know what I mean? And kind of the pictures from that album era too is when he started to do, you know, goofy stuff.
It's weird because we've written, every single song is written in a completely different way, and it's not like we go, right, I need a punchline, this is an idea, this idea will be hilarious. We just sort of, it's weird,
they normally stem from comments.
Yeah, like a weird comment, like an idea. Like, I mean, Bees, one of our best songs, well, of the ones that we really like playing, seem to go down really, really well, is just basically, one night I was really bored watching a documentary. No, I was watching BBC News 24 for some reason, getting really annoyed. And then I flipped over and was trying to write a political song. I don't know why, because we don't do politics because it's boring. And then went across, and then there was a David Attenborough documentary. And it's like, this is really cool. And then he just went, he just stops and talks about bees and goes, these little workhorses are the most important creatures of any ecosystem. And he just went, and he looked at the camera and went, bees. And I just, in my head, just went, fucking awesome. And then he just carried on talking and I went, okay, I wrote that down. And then I just went on, and he just said, all of these plants are pollinated just by bees, and these most important creature, unlike many others. And I went on Wikipedia, and then looked, and it's like, wow, they do literally just do these things on their own, and no one else does. And I started writing down this long list of plants, like that, and it just turned into a list. And I thought, how do we put a list into a song? That's rubbish. And I thought, right, let's just talk about how great bees are using factually accurate information. I put a lot of effort into it. To sort of, it's one of the. I think that's probably why it's funny, is because I put a lot of effort into something ridiculous.
Yeah, I think we'd actually get a lot further in life if we could actually put the amount of effort we do into writing stupid things.
Into serious things.
Like Drunks on a Boat.
Yeah.
We've got a song we are currently in the works of called Drunks on a Boat, and that started because someone said, oh, you guys are like pirates. And in my drunken state, I just turned around and said, we are not pirates, we are drunks on a boat.
The songwriting process is just generally like a sentence that's stupid, and then how do we make that weirder? And a stupid idea, or that's funny. And then it goes on my phone, and then later on, a few weeks later, I'll look at it and go, out of context, what the hell was I saying? And then partially remember it, and then a story comes out of it, because quite often, it's a case of writing random things down, and I remember looking for my book, and it looks like the weird rantings of a madman.
I've got on my phone, I've got a note that just says Carruthers, arrow, chainsaw hands. I don't even know what that means.
What is that? Oh.
My missus and me tend to do a lot of the writing, but then Bjorn and
but it'll generally be like with the one of the songs that we do quite a lot is Lady in Greg's, which is Lady in Red. And that was at a gig, just mid-gig where that idea
Amanda came out with the idea and it ended up becoming a song. But sometimes it starts with an idea where we've got an idea of something that we think will be quite funny to write a song about, and then we have to try and find the right song to fit that idea into. Other times it starts with the song itself, and we might have a line that we think, oh, that would work in that song. They have to write the entire song around that. The hardest thing, I suppose, is trying to crowbar the gags into the original, because to make the song recognisable, there's got to be enough of it still there, as well as the melody being there and the tune still being there. There's got to be enough of the original lyrics that make the song recognisable to make it work, I suppose.
But I guess the most difficult part of it is trying to avoid the lawsuits that are probably most definitely coming our way.
That does occasionally happen, yeah.
Paul McCartney hates us.
Yeah, he hates us.
When I write musical comedy, I tend to conceive it as music. So I'll think of it as an idea that will work as music. Right? I've got a bit where I sing "Live and Let Die" by Paul McCartney, and I opened my last Edinburgh show by singing "Live and Let Die," and I sang the whole verse and the whole chorus, and ran around high-fiving people to the heavier part, and then came back to the stage and delivered a punchline at the end, and that was the start of the show. Yeah. But I conceived that as a musical idea. I didn't conceive it as the joke, as a set-up punchline. it had to work with the music. So every time I've done music in my comedy, it's always been instinctive. It's like this is a music idea, and then I don't think I can think of a time where I've taken something I've written to be delivered as spoken comedy and turned it into music. I don't think it doesn't really work that way for me.
Well, the first time I really actually felt like I really wanted to play regularly, I bombed doing a stand-up gig. It was the first one I ever tried. It was at the Hobbit over in it was just an open mic night, and my brain just completely froze. And then I played another one and bombed again because I completely froze. But I realised that the bits where I wasn't frozen, I really enjoyed. So I want to do this more. And I originally thought about doing stand-up, and I've debated sort of looking into it now. But I prefer music with a bit of comedy to it rather than just stand-up. Because there's something almost like, I'm bored of talking now, let's play a song. Ding, 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 ding. And by the way, what about airline food? More songs. Ding, ding, ding. It seems to be better to break it up that way. So I didn't start out, but it's piqued my interest.
Scott's pedal board is essentially full of all the pedals that you find in music shops that no one else buys because no one else finds a use for them. We basically we just go to these shops and like, what's that? It makes your guitar sound like a Chinese woman. We want that in our set.
Yeah,
that sounds hilarious.
That'll be we'll find a use for that. So I suppose, and sometimes finding ways of using instruments, to create some kind of comic timing somewhere. So we do a song called The Zipper.
Yeah.
And you will regularly use your fiddle to make it sound like an ambulance at an appropriate moment.
I think we're lucky to have people covering us at all, so if they can get into the music because they like a goblin, that's perfect too, Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's every now and then, there's a feeling of, we spend so much time on the music, but on the other hand, it's like just fucking hilarious because we're like goblins. We can't really expect.
There ends up being a lot of fans too, and true fans, coming out to every show we play near them, and they always like the music too. So I think eventually that sinks in for people. So
the idea of being entertaining is almost seen as a bit bourgeois because rather than having people talking to an audience, like the Pink Floyd thing of like, we don't like the idea of saying, come on, clap your hands and all that, we sit there silently. And a lot of bands, I think, have that same thing where they play wonderfully, beautifully written songs, but don't engage with the audience. And I'll be sitting there in the audience going, talk to people. You don't have to make them laugh all the time, but just sort of make them feel they're part of the event. And because it stemmed from that is where we went from a folk band into a comedy band, is we just decided, let's just be entertaining. So we wrote songs not trying to be funny, but we played them in a fun way, and then we made the audience laugh in between. And sort of like having, people want to be entertained. And sometimes you want serious music with a message, but you still want to be entertained. You still want a bit of showmanship. Doesn't mean you have to do what U2 do and buy all the pyrotechnics between here and Utah and basically set up a miniature sun.
Stu?
Yeah?
Just had an idea.
We'll talk about it later. Okay. Write it down in your happy
miniature sun.
Music in general is not important. Like, it's something that you should enjoy and take inspiration from. It's something that can make you feel good, and it's something that you can share with friends. Like, it's something really positive in your life. But we are not like medical researcher or like important stuff is in other environments, like hunger in the world. It's important, like health and economical crisis, that's important. Music, it's not important. So if we take ourselves too seriously, then we don't realize what's really serious in the world. So we're just trying to say something which is enjoyable to somebody to listen to it, and possibly make somebody feel good for a moment. And that's good, that's noble, we can say, but it's not like something that we'd like to take too serious.
Like, it can be done, it's about subtlety, but like I would rather someone do something thought-provoking than something that's lols. But I've got no beef with it. Ultimately, my feelings for music start and end with, is it good? Does it make me feel awesome after listening to it? Does it make me want to fist pump, or does it make me like consider things like that's more my vibe than comedy? But at the same time, man, eating ain't cheating. What are you gonna do?
But yeah, I mean, having a sense of humor has prolonged this entire thing. You know, if we were all serious, it wouldn't be any fun. We've been laughing this whole way, man. You know, joking around, and you know that's what keeps us going, I think. And it's just kind of like, laughter, keeping things brotherly with the band, and you know, we're a team, a family. So,
at the end of the day, as long as for me, as long as we're being entertaining and people are having a good time, and they come home with that nice warm feeling that they've had a bit of a chuckle and a few beers, then we've done our job, and that's a good thing.
That's what it all comes down to.
It does, making people laugh and having a good time. Otherwise, we'd been Travis.
Wake up, darling glory. What makes you sleep so sound? That revenue man, he's a coming. Don't tear a steel house down. Dig a hole